Hey guys, welcome back to ARTFX Studios. This week is not going to be a Tutorial Tuesday. Last week I asked you if you wanted to be a part of this track, of the Tutorial Tuesday track. You could actually take part of it, and I wanted to turn this into a collaboration. So far in the past week I've got 2 collaborations, 2 people who actually added a whole bunch of stuff to the project. And I've also got one guy who actually made a remix. That's all fine. I'm pretty happy with that. And I haven't really had much time yet to spend looking at the projects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you another week to work on a collaboration thing, work on the stuff that you wanted to add to the project. You can download the project on Splice. I'll put a link in the description below this video, and there you can download the project. You can then do some stuff to it, give your own twist to it, then upload it to Splice or send it to me, and I will look into it and see if I like it or not. The next week I will go and review the submissions. I will look through them and see what I like and what I don't like, and I will choose which one will actually end up in the collab. Because of that, I'm not gonna do a Tutorial Tuesday today, and we are actually still gonna do some drum and bass, because it's a Neurofunk Tutorial Tuesday season. So I was working on a patch today, and it's a Neurofunk step kind of bass. It's made in Serum, and it sounds a little bit like this. So it sounds pretty dope, actually. It's pretty. I was trying to make a step bass. I know you can. I know you hear them quite a lot in Neurofunk, and I wasn't really too sure how to create this, but I think it turned out pretty well. So in this video, I want to discuss how I made the bass, and then I'm just gonna go and try out some resampling stuff. I was watching a couple of Mr. Bill and AK videos on YouTube, and yeah, they really inspired me in terms of resampling. So I think it's a pretty good, pretty nice thing to just show you how to make this bass, and then try out some resampling things. Maybe we can get some interesting stuff going. So yeah, let's just get to it. Now this is the bass in its own. So let's take off the reverb, and let's just take off all of these, and let's open up Serum. So I'm going to disable everything first. So disable that. And as you can see, there's quite a lot going on in this patch, and we're gonna talk about all of that. So I started out this sound with a waveform that I created myself. It's a wavetable I created myself in Serum, and I think I created this by just importing a sound, and I'm pretty sure I used the Squarify thing right here. So you just import a sound, turn it into a wavetable, and then you use the process Squarify, which I think takes out all the even harmonics. It's gonna be either the even harmonics or the odd harmonics. I think it's the Squarify does the even harmonics, and the Squarify alternative, I think that one does the odd harmonics. So you basically turn this into a square wave-ish kind of sound, and it doesn't really matter what you throw in here. As you can see, I've just taken a bunch of different things. I think I even created this from single cycle waveforms. You know, just put that in there, and I might not have I've done that. I might have created it with FM synthesis. Could also be a... I'm not too sure how I created the actual wavetable, but I have a whole bunch of these wavetables right here. Let's see, where are they? Right here. You see, I've just made a few of those. They might actually be just the spectral growl waveforms, but then squarified. You can get those on my website, by the way. They're free to download. It's 15 wavetables for Serum, and I think I've even used those to create those squarified kind of wavetables. Now, right off the bat, if I turn off the modulation that I've got going on here as well, and I'm also gonna turn off that. That's what happens. Now I can play around with this knob. So you can hear what the sound is actually doing. I decided to add 2 voices to this. 3 voices. No, let's do 2. And I decided to add some modulation to the WT position. And I'm using this LFO shape. It's a 1/2 rate. A little bit of smoothing, and that smoothing helps to get rid of some of the clicking sounds that you get, because there's a really sharp edge. You go from nothing to full in like 1 millisecond. It's like instantly, so you would get a click, and that smoothing actually rounds off that waveform, so it's good. It gets rid of some of the clicks. Now then I added the mirror warping mode, and that already creates some a nice interesting sound. Then I decided to add the same modulation, the same LFO to that. And you might think this sounds absolutely shit, but believe me, it's gonna get much better. I then layered that with a saw wave, and this one also has 2 voices. To create that. It's a little bit lower in volume. Then I decided to add the AM, so that's amplitude modulation, from A. So the waveform of A, which is this one, is going to modulate the volume of this one. It helps to give to get a little bit more sharper sound that way. I quite like that. Then I enable the sub, and it's going directly to the output, so it's bypassing all the filters, and it's bypassing the effects, and it's just adding a sub. Then I have a noise oscillator, and this is just the J106 in the analog category. It's the noise from a Uno synth. It's a hardware synth. I've brought the pitch up quite a lot. I don't really know if this does a lot on the noise, but I put that on there, and I've also enabled the key tracking. I don't think you need to do that, but it worked. So it's just there to apply a little bit of noise to this, and the level is pretty low of that, so you can barely hear it. Just adds a tiny bit of noise. Then I've added a low pass filter, and this is a Moog Low 24, and this really creates a big part of the sound. So right off the bat, I can see that I'm doing a modulation on the cutoff. I've applied a little bit of drive and a little bit of fat to bring the volume up. And right now, it doesn't really sound like much because we don't hear the modulation. So I'm gonna enable that modulation, and that is this LFO controlling that cutoff. And yeah, I also have the second macro knob controlling the cutoff. So it's set a little bit higher than the default position. So the filter would start about here, going up. This allows for a little bit finer control, especially when you are incorporating this into a full track. You can use this to build it up and to use this in a little bit of a slightly less louder version. You can automate that knob to get more interesting effects. It's pretty cool to use that, and you can fine-tune the actual tone of the sound using this knob. And I'm doing the same for the other macro knob, but I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So right now, it doesn't really sound like much yet. The thing that is really a big part of the sound is the effects that I've put on here. So the first effect is a hyper/dimension. Now, I'm not too sure if you can hear the effect of this sound, but it's pretty easily heard when the distortion is on. So I'm actually going to turn on the distortion first. Now, I'm using the diode 2 as a distortion method, and the drive is set pretty damn high. So without that filter that I have on here, I can turn it off. I think this is going to be a really loud sound, so if I'm going to hurt your ears, I'm sorry. It doesn't really sound too good. It distorts the sound a lot. And it's not that I don't like the distorted sound. I like the diode 2 distortion method, but I feel like when you put it on the low end of the sound, which is definitely in here, it really screws up the sound and doesn't really sound that good. So therefore, you have the filter inside the distortion panel. I enabled the filter in the pre-mode, so it's actually before the distortion. And what that's going to do is I'm filtering the sound before distortion, making sure that the low end of the sound is not going to be sent into the distortion. And then the filtered sound is going to be distorted. So with that distortion, we will create additional harmonics again that we filtered out before the distortion, but it gives you a richer sound and you get more control over the sound. Now, I have set this to a bandpass, and the resonance is pretty high, as you can see. And what that's going to do, it's really going to create a resonating sound right around that mid-range of 403 Hz. Now, this is usually where some of your mud could be in the sound, and this could actually make your sound pretty muddy. But for this sound, it actually sounds pretty good. I've also connected the first macro knob to that filter frequency, so I can actually change that frequency with the first macro knob. And that again allows us to apply a lot more control to the sound. We can really fine-tune the detail of the sound when it's in our full mix. And that's usually what goes on. You know, you make a sound and you think it sounds perfect, you think it sounds good, but then you throw it into a track and it might not work too well with some of the other instruments that are already in your mixdown. And then it really helps if you have a couple of these knobs set up to fine-tune the tone of the sound. And that way you can make it work and fit. So now with that distortion, One more time, this is before the distortion. And this is after the distortion, but with the filter. So then the next thing that I did is I put it on the FX filter frequency. Oh, that's this one. It's that filter. Okay, so I think that sounds pretty good. Now I've enabled the hyper dimension. I'm not using the dimension expander, I'm just using the hyper. I've set it to a unison of 4, no retriggering, a little bit of detuning, small rate, and mixes up just slightly. Just makes it slightly wider, it's not really needed. Same thing goes for the phaser. These first 3 effects, they don't do too much to the sound, it's just they add a small little bit of additional detail. It makes it a little bit more wider, a little bit more stereo content, which is pretty good, but it's not needed. That's one thing that I need to say, the difference is really small with these 3. So same thing for the phaser. I brought the rate down so it's not doing any movement on the phaser itself. The depth is pretty low and the frequency is pretty low as well. I'm just using this to color the sound, to create a little bit of a slightly different tone. Now the chorus, same thing basically. Just really slight amount of chorusing on this. No feedback. Depth is brought down a lot. The delay is really small, 0.4 milliseconds. The rate is 1 bar, sync to the BPM. Mix is brought down a little bit. And the low pass filter is all the way up, by the way. So that really washes out the sound a little bit, I guess. I don't think I might actually want to bring that down, but we can see that in a minute. The next thing I decided to add is an all-pass filter. And I really like all-pass filters. What they do is, I'm not too sure actually what they do, but I know that the all-pass filter in Serum really screws around with the phases of the signal of the sound. So when you sweep through it with the cutoff, it's not only applying filtering, but it's also applying changes in the phase of the sound, and therefore you can get really small pitch shifting kind of things. Sometimes it sounds like you're shifting in pitch, but you're not. You're just still doing the same note, but it's actually the shift in phase that gives it a slightly pitch shifting kind of sound. It's not that big. It's not like you're shifting from one note to the other. It's just a really slight movement, and I don't know, I like the effect of it. So with the all pass, this without, and then this with. I'm also using the drive, by the way. Now I'm applying a little bit of movement on the filter cutoff with that LFO. And then the final thing that I've added is a compressor set to the multiband mode, no attack, medium release, ratio is 2/1, threshold is about minus 21 dB, and that will turn it into this. So we also got a pretty distorted high end. Um, Usually I don't like that on a sound, but on this one I don't really think it matters too much. You don't really hear it in the final mix. So I then applied an EQ8 with a slight amount of low passing, and I'm gonna do this at, let's try at 16K. And then I have Maximus, just adding a whole bunch of compression to the low end to bring that low end up and make it really nice and steady. Really small amount of compression on the mids, a little bit on the highs, and a little bit of on the master as well. Definitely cleans up the high end if we low pass this around 16K. So let's do that. That's usually a good thing to do. If you have a really harsh high end, just low pass it. You know, you might think, yeah, but I don't want to, I don't want to lose my high end. But that's the thing. If you just low pass it slightly at a really high value, I mean 16K, everything between 10 and 16K is still pretty much high content, so it's still pretty much high frequencies. So cutting at 16K, I mean, we're just chopping off the, let's say 4K above 16K that goes up to 20K. So we're just chopping off a small little bit amount of frequencies, and it's not really going to make it too low passed. You know, you're not really gonna hear it. Yeah, sure. I mean, if I bypass this, you will hear a small difference, but if you ask me, I think the low pass version sounds cleaner in the high end. So then with the drums, oh yeah, I also have a reverb on here. Valhalla Room, reverb mode is large room, and I brought this down a lot. It's really short reverb, and I'm then using an EQ to shape the reverb sound. I don't want to have too much reverb on the high end, so I'm just applying that. It's just a small little bit of that's being applied, it's not much. Now for the drums, I'm using a loop that is high passed. And I'm reversing a small little bit of that loop. As you can see. I have a kick drum and a snare drum that are pretty much doing that's all they're doing with the break. I've got some parallel compression going on here and a small blue compressor to bring the volume up. And that's basically it. So that's everything I've done. So that's pretty cool. I like the sound of that. Now we could have tried can always try something like this. This is a great way to do some resampling. Now, I was seeing this, I think it was AK who showed this thing. It's the dictator. I never knew about that thing. Wow, this is great. So that already gives you quite some interesting sounds. And we can roll this dice, which is pretty cool, which changes all these things. Wow. Just playing around with that. Wow, that sounds really great. And what you would do is you would just record the output of that and then chop it up and really make it work. Let's roll the dice again, just because it's so much fun. And the great thing is we can also roll the dice on this one. We can do that. So you can see how we can really turn this around. Wow. You would have to chop this up, but This could be an intro. Pretty cool. There's also a pretty bunch amount of so you can hear how you can really create interesting sounds with that. We can change the effects used. So that has really destroyed it. It's a good thing that I have the limiter on there, because otherwise I would have hurt your ears. So that works. You can create really interesting sounds with that. Now, this also works on drums, by the way. I can put it on the drums. And be sure to put the limiter on there. And we would record the output of this. And that's pretty interesting as well. So we can create effects on the drums that normally would take a long time to create. So that's one of the plugins I like for that. There's a whole bunch of other plugins that you could use to do these kind of things. Looperator is also one of those. Pretty works mostly the same as Tornado. Slightly different. Would create such a long time to make something like that. And I think this would work just as well on the bass. Wow. That part with the Foreman filter right there. Wow, that's nice. I might want to change this one to something else, but you know, maybe just that's good. I like that. So you can see how you can really create interesting stuff with this. I mean, I would just record this now. So just let's say just put this on resampling. Just do wait. I only want to resample the bass. So now we have that resampled as an audio file. I can look into it, I can zoom in, and I can see we have that audio file now. Those are the sounds that I like so much. And now we can actually just, you know, get that out of the way. We have that resampled, and just go in here and let's press randomize for another time and just see what we get. So we can try something like that. So yeah, that's just you know, it's fun. You just gotta work with it and try to find things that you like. And it can be a lot of work, but it's pretty much fun as well. Um, let's see, what else could you put on here? Bum, bum, bum. Let's try out this thing. Wow, that sounds weird. Let's not try that thing. Yeah, of course, we also have the Max for Live things. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff in here that we could use. I'm not gonna do too much. We're already almost 51 minutes. Now, we haven't done too much on the resampling side of things, but we do have that. I like it up until here. So I like that. So we created that from this. That became this part became that. So that's pretty cool. And we can do this a lot more times. Just keep on going and going and going until you have so many different variations that you can create an entire track around it. So yeah, that's it. That's a little bit of a thing that I do a lot. And I hope you like it. So if you want to be in the next Tutorial Tuesday video, then go to my Splice profile, download the latest project file of the Tutorial Tuesday video. You can actually watch the video of last week if you haven't already, and download the project file and remix it, add your own stuff, make changes, and then upload it to Splice again, or send it to me on Dropbox or whatever you want. Just give me the link to the project file so I can download it and I can review it in my upcoming Tutorial Tuesday video. I can't review it if you don't send me it. If you need to actually share me the project file, and if you do that, then I will get into it. I will try to review everybody who is sending something in. I might not be able to do that if there's a lot of submissions, but so far I have 3 submissions, so I could actually still do that. Next week we're gonna continue Tutorial Tuesday, and this week I hope you're happy with the Neurofunk stab bass. Peace.